Ready Check Radio.
Stand by as we get ready to serve up all your news this week in the world of gaming. Welcome to Gaming Gumbo. What's up, chat? It's Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That means here on Ready Check Radio, it's time for Gaming Gumbo, your weekly gaming wrap-up show. I'm your host, as always, Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man, and this is episode Buck 25. 125. If you're watching on YouTube, listening on Audible, Spotify, any of the podcast platforms, thank you so much. While you're there, give it a like, a subscribe, turn on the notifications, reviews, comments, chime in on Game of the Week, any of the topics we discuss, all the good stuff that feeds the algorithm. But most importantly, if you like what we do here, tell a friend and come on over live, twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio. Joining us is chat, ready to chime in on everything we're talking about today, and you can too. If you're not sure where, hit up ReadyCheckRadio.com. All the socials are in the upper right, and of course the backlog of this show, the Relic Grind, and other stuff is all there for you. Joining me to go over all kinds of fun stuff today, once again, Mr. Stephen Byron, the Torchwick one. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be back.
Welcome back. Let me move your camera up just a little. Boop, bloop, bloop.
I was going to say, he's looking a little
He was hiding there. You have the shark in the background again.
Of course. He will remain until I can get posters, which will hopefully be today or tomorrow.
Oh, there you go. Also on the line, resident artist of Ready Check Radio, Yod. What's up, sir?
What's up? You know, doing the stuff, drawing things.
Doing the drawing, doing the stuff. So
straightening the eyeballs, you know.
We had show notes put together for last week. Yod and I were ready to go. Sent them to Dom originally, and he said, hey, something came up. I can't do the show this weekend. So I hit up Troy. He wasn't able to do the show this weekend. Torchwick couldn't do the show last weekend. His Torchwick was actually here, was at home for the weekend. And because for Final Fantasy Trading Card Winter Cup that we went to last weekend, he had flown in from Rochester. He didn't bring his computer because he just met me in Raleigh, and then we drove home. So he didn't have a computer. So it was kind of like, Yod, we could two-man this. And then Yod's like, you do realize I'm about to get pummeled, right? With storms and tornadoes. So last week, sorry, we missed out. It became a little bit of a disaster, but we're back this week. No worries.
So are we officially the monthly wrap-up show at this point?
Bi-weekly, I think is what we're at. Bi-weekly is what we're at right now. Hey, I wanted to start the show with kind of some eye-rolling news.
Okay.
And then we could move on to some more interesting stuff, because honestly, there are a few announcements over the last... There are a few announcements over the last 14 days that I am really like, okay, that's awesome to see, and I'm very excited about. So I kind of want to we'll backload the good news, and we'll put the shit news at the front of the show. So if you stick around through the crap news and the bad news, you'll be rewarded. And if you leave early because of the crap news, then you don't get the good stuff. So...
Is this not the opposite of laying them down easy?
Yeah. This is like always lead with your best foot forward, right? No, we're not. No.
Worst impression.
Exactly. So we've talked about it on this show before, right? ArcheAge 2.
Yeah.
Becoming a thing. And it had been in development for a while. And then... At one of the shows, I don't remember off the top of my head if it was, Future Game Show last year or Jeff Keighley's something or other, one of his things. I don't remember what it was. But they announced that, hey, ArcheAge 2 was now going to be called ArcheAge Chronicles, and they were taking a bit of a different direction with things, but keeping a lot of the stuff there. Jake Song was still working on ArcheAge 2. And even when it was Chronicles, was still supposed to be involved there. That's Jake Song, obviously the creator of the original ArcheAge, right? And say what you
Right.
will about its monetization and stuff. Eventually, when it came west, there are a lot of people that look at ArcheAge as a very ground treading MMORPG. Right? It did pave its own kind of way in the whole sandbox genre. Now, monetization may be what ruined it, but yeah, we're talking about a high level creator here. So anyway, fast forward to today. The last 2 weeks. This actually happened like on the 7th or 8th, so would have been last week, 2 weeks ago. Jake Song apparently no longer at XL Games. Left. Gone.
Okay.
Now,
Why?
ArcheAge Chronicles is still a thing. That is still being worked on. And while Jake Song has left, Ham Young Jin, who has been working on it as well, is like continuing the work on it. So that's still going to show up. Now, whether it'll be good or bad, we don't know.
Right.
But you might say, Jake Song in the East is kind of like, our kind of Richard Garriott's and those types of people here in the West, right? Very genre-defining people. Whether or not you liked their individual projects, you can't deny their influence type things. You might not like the Beatles, but you recognize how influential the Beatles were, right?
Right.
Yep.
So if somebody like that is going to leave gaming, they better be going to do something pretty unique.
Or retiring.
Or retire. Yeah, fair.
Let 'em have it.
Fair.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah. There's always retiring.
Yeah, fair. And apparently this happened a while ago. It just became public knowledge, by the way. It happened.
Okay. So, do we know what he is doing?
Yeah, well, we know at least something that he is doing.
Okay.
Because from a tweet from one Mr. Henry Chang, the founder of Cross Protocol and CEO of Nexus Company Ltd., according to a tweet from Henry Chang, a legend among legends in Korean gaming and a pioneer in global online gaming is joining the Open Game Foundation as a senior advisor and or council member. You're like, okay, the Open Game Foundation.
Good start.
Yeah. Jake Song, co-founder of some of Korea's most influential gaming companies and the father behind some of its longest-running and most iconic games, is now embarking on a groundbreaking challenge. Integrating AI and blockchain into gaming.
There it is.
This ambitious and disruptive quest is one that only a true genius can undertake. He will engage with developers worldwide, sharing insights and pushing the boundaries of innovation. Just as he opened the door to the online gaming world nearly 30 years ago, he will now help shape a new chapter for gaming with us. On a personal note, I first met him around 29 years ago, and since then, I've always hoped for an opportunity to work with him. Now that wish is becoming a reality. A great project attracts a genius, and a genius can make a project truly great.
Yeah.
So, what happened over the past 2 years to make this man give up?
So here's the thing, and
That's what I gotta know.
I've talked about it on this show, right? Like, when you talk about blockchain technology, and that's independent of NFTs and stuff like that, let's just talk about blockchain itself. Okay.
Right.
There is an interesting use case for blockchain in gaming. In theory. In theory.
Yeah.
Right? That is the ability for Torchwick to be playing Hearthstone, and I don't play Hearthstone, but I play Overwatch, and I only boot up Hearthstone for different crossover stuff so I can claim certain things, so that I can get things in Overwatch, and he can get them in Hearthstone. And then, by the way, us, if both games are on the same blockchain, we could theoretically trade those items, right? I'll give you
Right.
my Overwatch skin for your Hearthstone card back, right?
Right.
Where it
It's a
becomes
neat idea.
theoretical, right, is that you have to incentivize the companies to want to do it,
Right.
right? Why would Blizzard allow you to trade a CS:GO skin yod for a Hearthstone card if there wasn't a little something something in it for both Valve and Blizzard?
Right.
So that's where it starts to get very theoretical, and whether it would ever happen. Now, will this take off? Will this help? I don't know. But blockchain as a whole just has such a negative draw in the
Right.
gaming world right now that
And then you add AI into it,
yeah.
which has an even more negative spin because, quite frankly, it is not something that most people want in their games. Not only the impact on the people making games, but the impact on the environment for having AI systems. It takes a lot of water to cool those systems that run the AI computers. It's a bad look right now. And like you said, Torchwick, what has happened to this guy in the last how
2
many
years. 2
two
years.
yeah 2 years that has flipped this switch in his brain that he wants to do this?
What? Well, I want to know. Like, looking at that future project worries me. But we've also got what's left of ArcheAge Chronicles.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, the reason I keep saying 2 years is he stepped down as CEO specifically to focus more on ArcheAge Chronicles. And then in 2 years of whatever that development looked like, he's given up. He doesn't want to be a part of it anymore. He's off to greener pastures to go have the
Well,
computer
Well,
generate
more
for it.
blockchainy pastures.
different pastors. Not wouldn't quite say it's greener at this point in
Yeah,
time.
and I
but-
mean AI
Right.
kind of, to your point, Yod, has the same theoretical
right,
helpfulness, right?
right,
Like the
right.
idea of being able to have AI in game development and use that to streamline certain processes, right? Giving
Right.
certain assets and NPCs certain behaviors, or
Right.
using AI to have a task in a game iterated a million times to see where it breaks, versus having paying employees to sit there and do it over and over and over again. And yes, that's going to come with job loss in some fields, but job gains in others. So again, it's all very theoretical. But Jake Song
Theoretical.
ditching ArcheAge to go into the blockchain space, oof.
It is, but to me, like the landscape of gaming and how often these big name games these days lose their creative directors. Either they move on because something went wrong, or they get booted because they're taking a while to perfect stuff, and the company itself isn't enjoying it. That they're taking the time to perfect stuff. It's unfortunately so commonplace now that part doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
The part that does surprise me, of course, is the fact that he's going into this blockchain AI driven such and such
Yeah.
that in today, maybe like 20 years down the line, but today I don't think will pan out.
Yeah, I don't think we're 20 years away. I think we're a lot closer than that. But whether that's a good thing or a
I
bad
would
thing.
like it to be. Okay. In my fantasy scape, that's where we're at.
Yeah, and we're not even looking at it from like the aspects of like using AI to steal art and scrape art. Like we're not even talking about those type of implications. We're talking about theoretically there is a case scenario for blockchain and AI in game development. Full stop. And there is. There absolutely is. But whether you want to be in charge of, you want to be somebody like Jake Song, who, I mean, ArcheAge, say what you will about the monetization, it did some very unique things.
Yeah.
People wanted a sequel. People are getting a sequel. He stepped down as CEO because the creator in him wanted, and then all of a sudden he leaves to go work for a blockchain AI. It's so bizarre.
It worries me.
It's like not creative at all what he's doing.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
I don't know if we're actually gonna get ArcheAge Chronicles. They still say they're on track,
Oh.
but it's worrying.
I'm sure we will. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be like, Dragon Age Veilguard.
I don't know. I think it's
Or
one of those things that's so far along, like it has to come out at this point. Like a Skull and Bones without the contract. Like it is so far along, and so much money has been pushed into it that it has to come out at this point. Whether it actually does well or not, it's got to make it out. We'll see.
Right.
We'll see.
It's gonna go out the door.
Yeah.
But what's gonna
looks
come
like.
out that door? Yeah.
Hey, so now on the Activision Blizzard side of things, we've been seeing more and more about World of Warcraft's housing. And not only have we talked about this on the Relic Grind before, and it's how it interfaces with Final Fantasy 14, because World of Warcraft, when they said, hey, we're going to do housing, and they started revealing information, Torchwick, they just started straight shooting at Final Fantasy 14.
Guess what? You won't have your house demolished. Guess what? You won't have to win a lottery. Guess what? You can just have one. We're not going to run out.
Yeah, you want one, you got one. You don't, all of it. And yeah, I mean, they literally took aim at Final Fantasy 14, and rightfully so. 14's housing system is atrocious. And the fact that it's still atrocious is what's even more surprising. Like, that it's still awful.
It is. I'm not going to say it isn't. I'm just wondering with this, you want housing, you got housing for everyone. Like you have a character and it's automatically there for you type of situation. How's the logistics going to work behind that? Like in the back end, that's like some crazy coding. And that's going to exponentially...
It really isn't, though. Like, these days, when you look at Final Fantasy XIV's housing and what Yoshi P has talked about on, like, the limitations and stuff, it does not make sense.
Nope.
WildStar had per-character housing.
Okay.
Rift not only has per-character housing, but you can own multiple dimensions. That's what they call their housing, because it's not just a house, it's an area, right?
Right.
I mean, even Final Fantasy 14 has the apartments for everyone.
The Elder Scrolls Online,
That's true.
you can own dozens of houses all over the world, right? So this is not the technological fucking marvel that it may have been back in the day. It's just 14 spaghetti-ass code.
That's true.
Still running
That's
like
true.
it's back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, 14's how old now?
Well, it doesn't. It's not its age, because again, think back: Elder Scrolls Online, WildStar, Rift. These are older. Some of them are older than Final Fantasy. It was the PlayStation 3. That was the issue.
Yeah.
Was the stupid PlayStation 3.
We just escaped the graphics problem.
Right. So anyway, World of Warcraft has been releasing not only the shots at availability and everything, but then they recently just put up a whole new blog post that looked at decorating the interior. And yes, you'll be able to decorate the exterior too. This blog post just focused on the interior. They showed off all of the different aspects of being able to scale items, rotate items, move items, snap items to floors and walls and windows, and just like all the different customization tools that would make things easy to use. But if you wanted more advanced features, you could. You're not going to be able to like chuck a table halfway through a wall, right? You're not going to have that type of stuff happening where roots are growing through the building's foundation and things like that. You're not going to be able to do that type of accidental graphics clipping things. And they have multiple videos showcasing all the tools and even a dye system if you don't like certain colors of things. Like, it seems like they're doing everything right on this front, Torchwick. I gotta say, whether you play WoW or not, whether you think it's way overdue for WoW to have housing or not, it seems like they are continuing to do everything right on this front.
Yeah, I just wish Final Fantasy 14 had anything even close. I mean, God, they're even doing like the neighborhoods. It's not just your plot off in the abyss somewhere.
Right.
It's a proper, like, you and your group of friends could have your own private neighborhood, or you could just have your house in some neighborhood with all the other players. Like, that is Final Fantasy's housing wards, but done right.
Yeah. I'm thumbs up so far. So far.
I still think things are going to be messed up once you add the human element into it.
How so?
I don't know yet, but every single time something new gets rolled out in any of these games, something messes up.
We're not allowed to have good things. Is that what it is?
Yes. The human element, when you put that into any kind of coding in video games, something breaks.
Right.
So I'm just waiting for that to break.
Well,
So,
speaking of broken, by the way, BlizzCon was canceled last year, right? And they did
Right.
that whole digital thing, the
Mhm.
Blizzard Direct. And it was really weird to see BlizzCon not only canceled after how long it had been running, but also we talked, Yad, about them doing it on the year of the anniversaries, right?
Right.
World of Warcraft turning 20, Warcraft as an IP turning, 30?
Yeah.
And not having a BlizzCon was weird. Well, BlizzCon is coming back. So that's the good news for BlizzCon fans. September 12th and 13th. Oh, here's the bad news. 2026.
Next year.
Yeah.
Ah.
So no BlizzCon again in 2025. Presumably we'll have some type of direct showcase or something like that.
Mhm.
But it's coming back. This seems really bizarre to me because they're on that whole, particularly with World of Warcraft, right? Maybe you don't have Diablo stuff to share or Overwatch stuff to share, but you better
Right.
soon, right? Marvel Rivals is
Right.
kicking your ass.
Oh, yeah.
on-
Oh, yeah.
But on the World of Warcraft front, you've already established this like bang, bang, bang trilogy of expansions pretty quickly, almost annually. Like you definitely have stuff to show for the upcoming portion of that. It'll have just been released, but you can still show off the. It's kind of weird that it's punted down the road an entire year. Torchwick, you look like you have speculation in your mind here.
It's not so much speculation for what they're gonna show. I don't think it's gonna do well. I don't think anyone cares anymore. I think you've missed the opportunity on this one, and now you're trying to claw it back. Like my speculation is, what are we gonna see after this one? And my thoughts are, we're not gonna see another one.
Yeah, so somebody had commented on the piece that I wrote about this, saying, "Hey, the fact that the announcement video doesn't have 30K views almost 8 hours after launch tells you how much people stopped believing in Active Blizzard."
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just pulled it up to double check that because I saw that comment. We're 11 days now, and we haven't even broken 100K.
Right.
I mean, there's still definitely
Just
an
rough
audience just
numbers
for
for
cons,
Blizzard.
right? And Blizzard
Right.
has its following. It'll be well attended. I don't think they're going to have problems on that front. But where I think they are going to have problems is Activision. Bobby Kotick wanted BlizzCon killed so many times. Like,
Right.
because to him it was not a revenue driver. You know, it was
Right,
more
right.
of a Blizzard thing about fan service, reaching out to the community, that whole aspect of Blizzard of bygone era. I don't know if you can recapture something like that in a post lawsuits, post Activision world. There's a lot of goodwill directed at Blizzard that was directed at Blizzard that isn't directed at Blizzard anymore. Just isn't.
Right. Right. Which
I'm sure they'll sell their
then is
tickets. I'm sure they'll have some cool announcements, but short of a WoW sequel,
yeah. I mean, so other than the announcements and stuff that they did back in the day, one of the really cool things they used to have was the tournaments.
yeah,
Because they used to have like, the StarCrafts and the raid tournaments and the PvP,
Yep.
Warcraft PvP and stuff like that. And those were fun to watch. mind you, technically those can be done online.
Yeah.
But of course, watching it in person is a whole nother animal, and I'm sure people would come out for that. I haven't really kept up on, when the release dates for the expansions are for Warcraft. Like you said, because they announced the back-to-back-to-back expansions with
Right.
the big storyline. But yeah, like you said, I would imagine there's something they can announce this year. Next year, having a 2-year drop. That's a bit of a stretch. On top of that, and I mean, I knowing the convention scene and hearing a lot about the convention scene on stuff, and of course with BlizzCon, if they do still do tournaments, a lot of like um the StarCraft teams and stuff like that, they're overseas.
Mhm.
They come in from out of country, and right now a lot of the conventions are actually telling people not to show up from out of country.
Well, that's the other thing
So,
too, right? Like it
yeah.
is not exactly in prime condition for traveling to the United States right now.
Right. So there has been some,
And again, this is a
like,
year and a half down the road. Things can certainly be different, better, worse, whatever. But
yeah.
I'm just excited to see Overwatch 3 with PvE for real this time.
yeah, right.
We promise.
So, well, Torchwick, to your point though, like, do you think BlizzCon ends up being not annual?
I think we're gonna get this one, and then maybe a month after, a little bit less even, we're gonna start hearing reports where it's like, "Hey guys, attendance wasn't what we thought it would be. We didn't hit sales figures or whatever the con equivalent would be," and then we're just never gonna see a BlizzCon again.
I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think
I'm
I don't
worried.
think they're going to have a problem selling the tickets. It's the LA Convention
No.
Center. It's not like, they're trying to sell out the Superdome or anything. There's a reference for you. Yeah, I think they'll be fine on that front. But I do kind of wonder if there is this, hey, Blizzard isn't what it once was. Activision has, permeated the entire business at this point. This may be like a trying to reach into some of that goodwill of the past and bring it back, and show, hey, we are still Blizz and we are still this, but it'll be 2 years since the last one. So it'll be interesting to watch. It'll be interesting to watch.
Tell me this real quick then. If you were in Anaheim, would you go?
I think I would, yeah. Just out of maybe morbid curiosity more than anything, yeah.
Right.
Like I enjoy playing World of Warcraft on an expansion release for a couple of months. I'm not a die-hard World of Warcraft player or Overwatch player or whatever, but I dabble in their games enough, and I've cover gaming for this and MMO Bomb enough that, yeah, I'd go for morbid curiosity if nothing else. But I'm not buying tickets and booking flights. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I
That's
was
why I
going to say,
gave
now,
you
mind you, in 2026, if in Anaheim, sure, back about 6-7 years ago, maybe even longer than that, I was willing to fly out there and buy tickets and get a hotel room and,
I mean,
meet people. But
maybe I'm off on my prediction then, but I wouldn't. You could put me in Anaheim the day of, give me free tickets, and I'd have better things to do.
Right, but you don't play anything Blizzard related, really.
I play WoW. I still log on to Overwatch occasionally.
Occasionally, and there's a generation difference here too. You don't necessarily have the Blizzard of Blizzard past nostalgia too.
Right.
That this may be trying to pull into. Like, to you, growing up, by the time you were old enough to play Blizzard stuff and care about their titles, you were already like 12, 13, and they've already been part of Activision. They've already had some of the bad press start. Now, obviously, a lot worse came out later, but yeah. So you have a totally
willing to forgive them. Like,
yeah. Well, I boycotted their stuff for years.
I know.
Years.
I think that was the right move. I just don't think there are going to be enough people that know of that goodwill, that lived in it. They're still going to give it back.
All right, we're gonna follow up on this one at the end of 2026.
Right.
Let's put a pin in following up in a year and a half, boys. Let's do it.
So before we go to the next one,
Yeah.
one of the other things is I just noticed the date is in September.
Yeah.
Which I believe that weekend does follow Dragon Con weekend, which, mind you, it is a thing that's here in Atlanta, but it is one of the largest conventions in the world.
Yeah, looks like in 2026, the Dragon Con will be August 28th through September 1st right now.
Right.
So 2 weeks later, you'll have BlizzCon.
Yeah, but most people blow their entire year's cash to go to Dragon Con. So if you're looking at
All right, we'll
BlizzCon
put 2 pins in this
Dragon
one,
Con,
and we'll follow up in a year and a half. Seems
Underline
reasonable.
it, highlight it.
Right.
yeah.
We did have a big launch this week, gents, in
We did.
Assassin's Creed Shadows from Ubisoft, and God, this better go well. Like,
Are we talking Dragon Age? Well,
so I mean, we've talked on this show about how the last 2 weeks actually about the troubles, the last 2 shows, the woes of Ubisoft, and now they're apparently it's just been a mess over there to the point that this has to do well.
right.
Like, it has to. And if it doesn't, Ubisoft is in way more trouble than I think it can recover from. Now, here's the thing. Out of the gate, they were already talking about crossing 1 million players on launch day. The critical reviews are generally positive, coming in on the Xbox, at 85, the PlayStation 5 at 81, and on PC is 78. So all green as far as Metacritic goes. But then when you start looking at user scores, which just have been able to start coming in the last 24 hours. Remember, Metacritic makes users wait, whatever it is, a couple of days.
Right.
Because they're like, you couldn't possibly have played this yet enough to review it. And so they make you wait. The PlayStation 5 version has almost 1,500 Metacritic user reviews and is at a 5.7.
Okay.
A 5.7. The users... Oh, that's the PlayStation. Why can I not... I can... Man.
You got this.
I know.
Come on. Quick, we have to fill the air.
So you're telling me turning the screen on and going into the start menu, it doesn't count as playing the game enough to give you a good review?
No, it's not.
It's not
There
giving
goes all my
me
reviews.
So
the users.
while you
users on
try to find
PC. Nope, that's not right. That's a totally different game.
good job. While you try and find that, perhaps we could talk about the fact that it is doing pretty well on Steam, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, the reviews, unless you can find it, if you can pull them up for me. I don't know the review average, but we are talking about 41,000 concurrent players at its peak on launch day. And it's one of the best-selling Steam games currently.
Well, I think all that was to be expected, though, right? Like, is any of that surprising?
I mean,
No,
it's Assassin's Creed and ninjas.
But
how can
the
you
samurai,
mess that up?
samurai.
Okay, yeah. Medieval Japan.
Yeah. Xbox Series X user scores, by the way, are a total of 5, and the PC user scores is a 4.1.
Oh my God, he did it. He pulled up the ratings.
Yeah, I got him.
did.
I got him.
Okay.
I got him. I am professional. And so here's the thing, too. You look at Steam charts, and there's 46,000 people playing right now. Undoubtedly a decent number, no problem. But the all-time peak was 59. And granted, it's available on other PC platforms like Ubisoft's own store, and their UB Plus stuff. And so it's not all the be-all, end-all, even just on PC isn't Steam for this game.
Right.
But I have a feeling that they were looking for more than 60,000 as the all-time peak.
I mean, it's not surprising, I don't think.
No.
But also look at as Ubisoft, you gotta be a little bit happy when your game's the best on Steam the day of launch, like the highest selling.
Right, but
I
what
don't
else
know.
was available
Not
that
enough,
day?
maybe,
Like
but
But
any
it's
big
also,
AAA release is going to climb that chart on launch day. Like that's just a given, right?
it also doesn't feel like one of those games where you have to, you know, run through it to catch up with your friends.
Yeah.
You know,
And again, like I said,
MMOs
it is
and stuff.
multiple platforms on PC. So it's
Right.
not like other games where we get the benefit of the entire PC player base is on Steam and we can see it.
Right.
That's not the case here.
yeah.
So I mean, looking at the numbers, I would think that it's a pretty good hit.
Yeah.
It pulled some good numbers.
Now, maybe with the way that the sales targets these days go, it still won't hit them. But I think I
who
think if
can?
there were realistic targets, it would.
And let me just
Yeah,
throw this
yeah.
out here, by the way. Ubisoft has said 1 million players on launch day, not
Right.
sales. Because remember, this is available on Ubisoft Plus. So if you have their subscription thing, you know, like the Xbox Game Pass type joint, you're able to play this and you're counted in the player numbers, but you certainly didn't pay for it. So
Right.
that does not necessarily correlate to selling 1 million copies on a launch day, which would be astronomical. It's not that. They didn't advertise sales. They advertised players.
The problem there is you asked me to remember that Ubisoft Plus exists.
That too.
Yeah. Yep. It took me a second to rack my brain. They're like,
I'm not even sure the people sub to it remember Ubisoft Plus exists. I think it's probably just passive income for Ubisoft because no one's using it, but they keep paying the sub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the other side of this, by the way, Ubisoft was like all prepared for with lawyers and stuff to like keep their employees safe from online threats and things like that, because there are, you know, the lunatics out there.
Right.
And it's not all sunshine and roses for the launch. This is separate from like the Assassin's Creed Shadows launch itself. But they actually, Ubisoft right now has a minority shareholder causing a bit of a stink, threatening to not only plan a protest outside of their headquarters, but possibly take them to court to actually sue Ubisoft, saying that they have not appropriately communicated to shareholders on a number of things regarding their potential plans to bring the company back to profitability, including speaking to other companies about buying certain assets off of Ubisoft, the potential to spin off certain Ubisoft assets into a separate business, which apparently Ubisoft is looking to gauge investor interest in a company like that is still run by the Gumbo family for whatever reason. So they've still got that to deal with. Now he's encouraging other shareholders to protest in May. The reason they picked May was because they'll have a financial disclosure meeting prior to that, and so it'll give the company a chance to rectify some of the gaps in what they say the communication is. We'll see if that happens. And then Japan, you know, they seem to be relatively pissed in some pockets about Assassin's Creed Shadows too, Yad.
Well, I mean,
And most of it seems to be like political showboating, but, you know.
To a certain extent, but I mean, when you use official names and stuff and don't get the authorization to use them, like the names of specific shrines in historical context.
Well, and you also have a samurai who there's not a lot of historical information available on whether they were even a samurai or not, but then you have them going into these sacred shrines and busting the joints up.
Yeah, the desecration of the said shrines that actually exist, mind you. They're not fictional shrines.
Mm-hmm.
They're real shrines, and you know these things are things. It's like, you know, if in the initial Assassin's Creed, you could go, like the one in France, you could go into Notre Dame and bust stuff up. France probably wouldn't have been too happy about that.
Right, but so here's the thing. Like, I get that portion, like the desecration portion, right? These are religious sacred shrines
Right.
to certain people. I get that aspect. But one of the things they were talking about was, if these shrines decide that they would like some help going after Ubisoft for using the official names of the shrine and likenesses of the shrines, then the government may be willing to help on that case. That just really, I started sitting here thinking, like, I'm not a copyright or an intellectual property lawyer. But if I'm making a game based in New York and I put the Empire State Building in my game because it's part of New York, do I actually have to get their permission to call that the Empire State Building? Like, I don't know.
Yes. Because it's a trademark name.
Right. Okay. Oh, yeah. Bad example because that one is trademarked. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But like, if do I have to if I got an Egypt game, do I have to the Great Pyramid of Giza? Is somebody holding an intellectual property certificate on? You can't call that the Pyramid of Giza. You can't call that the Grand Canyon. You can't call that the
Grand Canyon is. Yeah, but the Great Pyramid of Giza, I believe you do have to get authorization.
And maybe you do. I don't know IP law enough. I know some copyright stuff when it comes to like brands, but I mean, it makes sense.
No,
it just seems weird.
In Japan, these shrines and stuff like that are so ingrained into these prefectures' identity.
Right, but who are they owned by? Are they owned by like that prefecture's government?
Yeah.
Like the local, like like here we have our city, our county, and our state government. Is it similar to that? I guess maybe.
Right. Yeah. So it's just like the one game. What was it? Onimusha.
Onimusha. Yeah.
Onimusha. That they went to that prefecture and went, we're making a game historically placed in this prefecture, and they did the research there, and they got all the authorizations, and they got the blessing from the prefecture to do all this stuff. That's where, and I mean, Ubisoft could have totally done this and got the government to actually give them money, because they will help back you if you make it good.
Yeah, until you send your lead character in there busting up the joint. Then they might have a problem with it.
I mean, they already released a day one patch that stopped you from being able to do that, so it doesn't really matter anyways.
Well, and this was also, in Japan, remember, you don't get the dismemberment setting.
Right.
Like, you don't get that setting.
But I mean, if you don't get it anyways, and if you went and talked to them first, you would have known not to do that. So you wouldn't have needed the day one patch to not bust those things up.
Yeah.
Probably got some money. But anyway, sorry.
Sorry, I just want a little clarification, because is this something that you have to do, or is this just a case of like, oh, the shrine's part of the open area, so players go in and bust it up? Like that feels like it's not really Ubisoft's fault.
there's fighting that goes on in there, and then destructible environment while you're fighting. So
okay, and
it's not like just going and just desecrating it for desecration's sake, right?
That's what I'm saying. And if it's not part of something the game makes you do, like some mission, it's just part of the world. That wouldn't really be Ubisoft's fault, I feel.
Not completely, no, but the fact that they gave you the ability to do it, and you didn't ask in the first place.
Let's head over, hit up some small news before we call it a day here. Hey, gang, just want to let you know there is yet another study that says loot box purchases, Torchwick, absolutely are linked to gambling and video game addiction.
I am stunned.
Are you shocked?
It's my shock face. Totally. Yeah.
Research was published in Computers and Human Behavior. It surveyed more than 1,400 adults who gamble and play online video games. It found that loot box buying shares similarities with other behavioral addictions, such as compulsive gambling and internet gaming disorder. And if you are surprised by this, I really don't know what to tell you. A separate article in the American Journal of Psychiatry by Professor Dimitrovics and colleagues warned that the rise of online accessibility has contributed to behavioral addictions, potentially worsening psychiatric conditions. The review outlined 5 types of behavioral addictions: gambling, internet gaming disorder, compulsive sexual behavior, compulsive shopping, and excessive social media use. Here's my shocked face.
Yeah.
When you let people gamble, they might gamble. Who would have thought?
Or things that are like gambling.
Ah.
They might do that.
Mm-hmm.
games of chance.
Did you see, Torchwick, that Game
yes.
Informer might be coming back?
Oh yes, I did, and I'm excited. And I was worried. when I
What?
first
So
was
what
reading that
happened?
article.
Where did we get this rumor
So
from?
we've been getting a few social media posts, tweets, etc. for whatever platform you were looking at, of a continue screen or a clip from the last Game Informer video post saying it was shutting down, and then a little code at the bottom that said continue, like an arcade machine might. And these have been popping up both on the Game Informer official social medias, but also a lot of former employees and writers for Game Informer have started sharing these and asking people to share them. And I am excited as hell because I'm assuming what they're trying to tell us here is it might be coming back, it might continue. But more importantly, it might continue with the same employees that were let go not too long ago. And that's what I was worried about, because I saw this article and I saw these posts and I was like, that's not right. You can't just start it up again. And then I saw a post for From. And if it all works out the way that it seems to be, they're coming back, they're getting their jobs back, and they're continuing Game Informer in the right and proper way where they didn't get screwed over. And that I'm just so happy about that.
What we don't
Because I
know,
love Game
though,
Informer,
is
but
we don't know if it's coming back in the same capacity as part of the GameStop brand and
Yeah.
ownership, if it's coming back in some type of independent capacity where maybe some people that work there were able to buy certain bits from GameStop and, crowdfund their own sort of thing. Like, we don't know those particulars yet. I would assume that GameStop has to be involved somewhere in the equation, particularly if the Game Informer name itself, Yod, is still being used. But whether it's a license to them to use the name, or whether they're, GameStop is bringing back the division, I would assume that GameStop would be teasing this too, and they don't seem to be right now.
Right, and which to me that says that someone had enough funds to outright either license it or purchase the name and get the gang back together, so to speak, and resurrect it on their own. Like you said, whether it's affiliated with GameStop in some way, maybe they've opened up their own separate, shop, or group of the group of people that used to work there have gotten together and opened up their own company,
Right.
and they're going to be licensing through GameStop so that they have a distributor. That's yet to be seen.
It's very interesting.
The fact that they had the continue screen, to me, kind of says, these people are actually gaming fans, which is really cool.
Well, right, and one of the social media posts was on, like Torchwick, you had said, it was on the official Game Informer Blue Sky.
Yes.
Right.
It was that linked to GameInformer.com, which still, if you go to that site, just has the farewell from Game Informer stuff on it.
Yes, and that is the post that was the last bit of that farewell, and then the continue appearing at the bottom.
Right. We expect to hear more on the 25th. That's where these social posts kind of lead to an announcement on the 25th. We don't know where that'll be coming from, or will it be a video or just a social media, but we don't know. But stay tuned this week, I guess.
I'm so excited. I'm glad it's back, but I'm also really glad it's back right, hopefully.
Do you guys remember I mentioned Rift earlier. Do you guys remember Trion Worlds, right? The company that owned made Rift and Defiance and Trove, and now Gamigo owns all of those joints.
Right.
Well, do you guys? Defiance was the third-person shooter MMO. It got so much money put into it back in the day. We were with Gamebreaker Yod back when Defiance came out.
Oh yeah.
And it was joined. Torchwick, you're gonna love this. If you don't remember this at all.
I don't.
It was joined to a television show on the old Sci-Fi Channel by the same name.
All right.
I loved the show. The show was really well done.
The show only lasted a few seasons. I think three. Three, yeah. And the idea was that not only could the show's events influence events in the game, right? Something could happen on the show, and those NPCs could show up in that place that they were in on the show in the game. But that, in theory, events in the game might actually impact the show. A big conflict happens somewhere on the map, for example. Players rally up and do certain stuff, and based on the outcome of that conflict, the television show could theoretically go one way or the other. Now, it never panned out that way.
Yeah.
No.
There was a ton of money put into it, and it didn't pan out that way. I thought the show, I'm with you, Yod, it was a pretty decent, weirdish sci-fi thing. Totally belonged on the old Sci-Fi Channel, 100%. There was some great B acting in it. And I actually enjoyed the game quite a bit, too. Third-person sci-fi shooter MMO. But alas, the show was canceled after 3 seasons. Defiance itself got a rework into Defiance 2050, a free-to-play version that had enhanced graphics and everything. I remember doing a video on MMO Bomb many years ago when 2050 came out, where I was running side-by-side comparisons to show the graphical improvements and things like that. A bit of a weird, if you play Rift or Trove and you have the Hellbug or Heckbug events, they came from Defiance.
Yeah.
That's where the Hellbugs came from, was Defiance. This game could be coming back. It could be coming back.
So is Trion Worlds booting it back up?
Oh, no.
Like,
Trion Worlds is long gone.
oh, it's
Yeah, all of their
gone,
stuff
yeah.
is owned by Gamigo now.
Yeah.
So Gamigo's firing it back up then.
No, a company named Fox Games.
Well,
is.
you led me on this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
they are. Fox Games is bringing it back. It is being licensed through Gamigo, of course. I'm showing the live action because of all things, Yod, they went with a live action trailer.
Yeah, I see that. It's like, wow.
It was kind of like, well, I mean, if you're going to do a live action trailer for a game that had a TV show might be the best way, might be the best one to do it.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Now,
Yeah,
the original came out in 2013, and then both versions ended up being closed in 2021.
Right.
Yeah, Defiance and Defiance 2050. The 2013 version is the one that's coming back. It's only coming back to PC in April of 2025. There's a countdown on their website. It will still be free to play. It will have all the content that was available in 2013 when it shut down. They're probably not going to add updates or anything unless it really, really takes off. They have said that they are going to avoid some of the monetization decisions that Trion Worlds put in place towards the end of the game's life. There was some weapon stuff that all of a sudden became available in the cash shop. They're going to stay away from that. And then if it does well, maybe they'll bring the console version back too, and then they'll examine a 2050 return as well. I will absolutely go and play this again, even if it's just a one-time shot through the entire main story, Torchwick. And you want to come with me?
I'm willing to give it a try. It sounds like a neat enough concept. I kind of sad that I didn't get to play it back in the day.
Well, now you get a chance.
Yeah,
It does
I'm
look like
down.
fun. It does look like fun.
Did you ever play
Run through
Defiance, Yod? I mean, it was
did
like a
not.
big
I
release
think-
when you and I were at Game
Yeah.
Breaker.
Yeah, like I said, I watched the TV show and I love the TV show, and there's access to the TV show. But I did not get a chance to play the game at the time. So yeah, I might have to check this thing out.
Can you still watch that show online anywhere?
Some
Defiance. Yeah, 3 seasons. Looks like you can do it free. Fandango at home for free.
Oh,
YouTube for $1.99. Amazon Prime Video for $1.99. Peacock if you have the subscription. Apple TV for $1.99. Is this per episode? If it's $1.99 per episode, yeah, it looks like it is per episode.
on YouTube.
Looks like we'll be
There's a-
going to Fandango.
there's a place you have access to, Mike, that you can watch.
Oh, do you? Is it on your Plex server?
Yes, it is.
Nice. Okay, never mind. I'll send you $1.99. Not per episode, just $1.99. I'll send it straight to you. So there you go. Now you can watch the show too, Torchwick.
I'm not sure I will, but thank you.
In bad news on the shooter game front, after saying that their game wasn't going anywhere, Spectre Divide and its development house are closing just weeks after Season 1 launched.
Ooh.
I'm shocked.
Yes.
This is my shocked face again.
Yeah. This team called this game your next 10,000 hour obsession. They said it wasn't going anywhere.
How long
Oh,
is 10,000 hours? Was there even enough time to play it for 10,000 hours?
The first season came out on February 25th. Now, they were in an early access with the season 0, right? It hit early access back in September. So let's say you've been able to play it since September 1st. I think it was actually September 3rd, but let's just say the 1st.
Yeah, no, you could not have
You
played
absolutely
it for
could
10,000
not.
hours.
You absolutely
Not
could
even
not.
close.
Yeah. It's shutting down. It's going away. Oh, by the way, on February 25th, the console version launched. You had 2 weeks to play it before they announced it was shutting down.
Guys, it's gonna be the next PT. You gotta save it on your console.
Right.
Here's the weird thing. Like, in the announcement, they said they were initially hopeful with high player counts in the first week of Season 1's launch. But after the second week, the company acknowledged, this is from my article on MMO Bomb if you want to read it, that the game isn't making enough to support itself and the company has burned through all of its existing funds to get this far. Saying the industry is in a tough spot right now, Mountaintop was unable to find a new publisher or partner and will literally close its doors next week. I honestly, I had no choice but to end the article this way. Honestly, this seems like an incredibly quick time range to things to go that far south. And I'd be shocked if the leaders of the studio didn't already know this was coming for quite some time, despite the entire team's passion for the project. There's just no way I really buy that 2 weeks into the season, the game and studio need to close if it already wasn't basically closing a month or two ago. Giving a season just 2 weeks to save your game means that the season never really had a chance to save your game to begin with, in my estimation.
They didn't even give people time to get a paycheck to spend on the Season 1 stuff.
Oh my god. Torchwick's going to come to every show now with, what can you accomplish in 2 weeks that you could not accomplish in the time Season 1 launched and Spectre Divide closed? If you're looking for something good, though, and man, it's taking everything I have not to pick this up, I have a feeling like Torchwick, that like your mother and I or your sister and I would just have a blast playing this. And I liked It Takes Two.
That's I was about to ask.
Yeah. Split Fiction, 2 million copies sold in the first week. Not players, like Assassin's Creed. Sold in the first 2 weeks since it released on March 6th. Absolutely getting glowing reviews everywhere. If you're like into co-op, with you and a buddy, or you and a family member, you and a significant other, like this, yeah, I'm probably gonna have to buy this.
2 weeks, you say?
2 weeks.
Things you can accomplish in 2 weeks.
That's cold. That's so cold. There's actually already, by the way, apparently a Split Fiction movie in the works, and the bidding war for its rights has already begun.
Oh.
Of course.
That'll probably not be good.
Why does
Probably
every
not.
video game need a movie now?
Yeah. Or a TV show. Or an Amazon
Yeah.
series.
Like the
Because-
first two were good, and then all went downhill.
Because the video game market at this point in time is the same as the toy line market was in the 80s. You have to have a TV show, the toy line, and commercials, and the three of them work in synergy to sell each other.
Well,
So at least this is what their theory is.
not only does everything need a TV show, everything apparently needs a sequel. And here's one that I
Right.
don't think it needs a sequel. Like, Power Wash Simulator 2 doesn't need a sequel. Just keep dumping. Keep dumping DLC on the first one.
I thought that too at first, until you find out what they're giving you.
Go ahead.
There's no way you can DLC all the multiplayer shit they're adding into it. Okay, the split screen multiplayer home, the multiplayer online, the co-op, working together on projects and stuff with all that stuff that they're adding into a Power Wash Simulator 2. You can't do that in a DLC. That's a whole new game. Because at first I was right there with you, like it's just more maps. Just give me more maps. But no, they're doing a lot of stuff on the base level that you need to build from the beginning. So
doesn't the first one already have online co-op?
No.
Yeah,
it does.
I don't think
does?
the campaign
Oh, yeah, it
progress
does.
varies, but it's definitely there.
Yeah, and that's the annoying part for me is like whoever's area you're playing in, they're the mission progressor.
Yeah,
you don't all get credit for it. I will say this though. Remember, the first one was developed by Future Lab, but published by Square Enix. It was under their like third-party helpful umbrella, like the collective, the Square Enix collective.
Right.
This one, the first one has done so well, raking in 17 million players, that the sequel is not being published by Square Enix. It's being self-published by Future Lab.
Nice.
Okay, so that explains why it's a sequel and not just DLCs. That right there.
They don't want to share that cash anymore.
Exactly, because you can't. They probably have a contract for the first one with Square Enix. So even if they keep dumping DLC onto it, they've got to share with the distributor, which is Square Enix.
Mm-hmm.
If you make number 2, that's a separate trademark. So therefore, you can release it with whoever you want.
Yep.
In this case, by themselves. So
apparently, your mother thought she texted me that dinner would be ready shortly, and now what I'm having for dinner is a subject of a conversation in the Twitch chat because she thought she texted me, but typed in Twitch chat instead.
Next, good job.
Well, we're on our last topic. And
Mhm.
Torchwick, I added this specifically for you and I.
Oh, that's worrying.
And I added it late, so you may not even have seen it.
No, I saw it. I
Okay.
know it. I know what we're about here.
FBC Firebreak showed off gameplay at Future Games Show this past week. This is the Control multiplayer game. If you liked Control, we're headed back to the oldest house. We've known Remedy's been working on this for a while. We reported on it on MMO Bomb maybe 5 months or so ago. 3-person teams, PvE straight co-op in the wildest, oldest house. Various jobs. There are 3 different kits that you can take with you as far as how you want your character to behave and their abilities. And it is make your way through like multiple 2 or 3 stations to the next door and fight a big boss at the end type deal. So it is going to be very loopy gameplay. Get in, get your loot, kill the boss type stuff. But should be infinitely replayable. And yeah, the mission with the job we're seeing here is, I think it's called Paper Chase.
Yeah.
And we actually see like one of the people get taken over by the hiss, and sticky Post-it notes become something you should absolutely be afraid of. This is, and when I wrote it up, I put a whole disclaimer at the beginning. I was like, Control is absolutely one of my favorite games of all time. Like it is in top 10, definitely, maybe top 5. I love this IP. I love this world. I love everything about it. I'm very, very interested in the multiplayer. PC mid-range price is what they're saying it is. They haven't released price, but this doesn't, the way that described, it's not going to be a $60 or $70 box. I would imagine like a $30 or $40 box. And I can't wait. sometime this year. Consoles will be later.
So, conceptually, I like it. I'm a big fan of what they're doing here. I like the world. I could never beat Control. I've tried multiple times. I just can't get through it, and I'm worried that if they're going with a similar sort of, if I can speak, a similar sort of a gunplay and combat there, that I'm not going to enjoy this either.
Wow, you're just
That's
a
why
terrible,
this is a 3-player co-op.
you're just
You
a
get 2
terrible
team
human
members
being.
to carry you.
I tried. I love the idea of like the anomalous objects, and like I love the world.
So
It's
good.
everything from I want, like the weird supernatural yet scientific take on magical items like that. I love it. And then I go and play the game and get a few hours in, and I'm like, there are better games I could be playing. And so I go play those better games, and I come back a month later and forget what I was doing. And this has happened about 4 times now. So I've kind of accepted that Control is one I'll never really get to the end of.
Oh.
And I'm worried that that's going to be the same case here, where I'll play like 3 missions and then I'll be like, it's good. I'd just rather go play Marvel Rivals.
Wow.
Damn.
I have 2 children now. I don't. No 3.
Well, that's perfect. You and your 2 children can play this 3-player game.
Wow.
Let's go do games of the week. Of the week is the way we end every episode of Gaming Gumbo here. It's where all 3 of us are going to recommend a game. Could be a video game, board game, card game, mobile game, something we're playing now, played in the past, or haven't played but think you should check out, and you let us know who gave the best recommendation down below. I'm going to just give mine right away. It's Control. And you can pick it up usually for a song and a dance. I like definitive versions and ultimate collections of it are like $40 on Steam. So you can find this for relatively cheap. And I'm sure you could hit a GameStop and find it even cheaper for consoles at this point. Fantastic series. Absolutely love it. All about Control. Yod? No, let's go to Torchwick.
Oh. So I'm going to pick, this is not what I was originally thinking, but I've kind of changed my mind on it. What Remains of Edith Finch? It's a very story-driven game. It's something that I've never played it myself. I saw a playthrough of it, and even just that stuck with me for years at this point. And also, it can be beaten in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So go
Poor
play
Spectre Divide. Poor Spectre Divide.
It is, honestly, though, it's a great game. It's a lovely story. It's very touching as well, with just a hint of mystery. Go play it. It's a good time.
What do you got, Yod?
Go wash some stuff in Power Washer Simulator until the second one comes out.
Yod, just go clean your buttholes.
Yes.
Go get clean. Go get clean. Well, that's
clean
good.
all the things.
Yeah, clean all the things. That's going to do it here for us on Gaming Gumbo. We'll be back next week with another episode. Of course, Thursday we'll have the Relic Grind, which we'll be taking our first look at Final Fantasy's 7.2 patch after, basically 24 hours of being able to play it at that point, 24 to 48. And of course, don't miss any of our other streams or Final Fantasy trading card game locals. Until next week, Yod, where can everybody find you?
Yod Artworks on all the socials, mostly on Blue Sky, though, these days. And, of course, on Redbubble, we have merchandise.
Torchwick.
Any account called Torchwick0 is probably me, unless you're going to judge me for it. Then it's not
Then
me.
it's definitely not me. I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there, but more importantly, follow at RC Radio, RAIDEO, and you'll know every time we're going live with a podcast, a stream, Final Fantasy trading card game, weekly live locals, and more. Stay safe. We'll see you on the server.